Hello folks, I am back off my little hiatus from making YouTube videos for a few days. So I thought today I'd come back and take a pop at the Scottish Independence Referendum Take 2. So Indie Ref 2, or Scottish Independence Referendum Part 2, is trending on Twitter, and it's been trending in the top 10 consistently for the past week or so. Now this has been pushed by Scottish nationalists and of course members of the SNP, as well as that decrepit piece of work, wee Jimmy Cranky, old Nicola Sturgeon herself. They are desperate to break up the United Kingdom and take Scotland to the European Union. And I guarantee you folks, I promise you now, this is not for the good of the Scottish people. This is pure anti-English and anti-British hatred. And if the SNP and Jimmy Cranky, Nicola Sturgeon, actually gave a shit about the Scottish people, then that independence vote they had 7 years ago would have truly been the once-in-a-lifetime vote, as they said it would be. But no, she wants to drag Scotland into the EU, and you've got to ask yourself why. As with most politicians, they will push and push for policies only when it means there's something in it for them. So what's in it for Nicola Sturgeon if Scotland joined the EU? Is it a cushy job for life in Brussels? Who knows? One thing's for sure, you can't trust her. And she seems to be made out of Teflon, because every political scandal she's been involved in, she's come out unscathed, unharmed and scot-free. And the pro-independent Scottish media up there, they just won't touch her. So the truth about Scotland is this. Scotland is a devolved nation. The Scots are actually in charge of themselves. They say what goes. They're in charge of the economy, health service, trade, and literally 99.9% of everything that's Scottish up there. They're in charge of it. Now, the only fingers that Westminster has in the Scottish pie is when it comes to defence and funding. So if the NHS is on its arse in Scotland, which it is, the buck stops at the SNP and wee Jimmy Cranky, Nicola Sturgeon. In fact, Nicola Sturgeon's own constituency is completely run down, and she hasn't been seen there for years. And a high percentage of kids born in Scotland are born into poverty, and this is quite shameful. But the SNP and Scottish nationalists and Nicola Sturgeon herself have told you over the years, and they will continue to tell you, that the fault of all this lies at Westminster, which is completely untrue. So while the SNP and Nicola Sturgeon are completely neglecting their own country, they are blaming Westminster, and they're using it to push for another Scottish independence referendum. And unfortunately, there's enough anti-English and anti-British bigotry in Scotland that they will gladly swallow this lie by Nicola Sturgeon. She even spent money sent up there by Westminster to help tackle the plague on a Scottish independence campaign. And of course, with all leftist campaigns, and Scottish independence is a leftist campaign, make no doubt about that. And they're all over Twitter posting the most stupid, refutable comments in support of this that you can imagine. They've got people like well-known actor Brian Cox, and he recently said, "I think we need a referendum and see what we think. We've been sidelined for so long and treated really not very well and not taken very seriously. Really, we need to take care of our own destiny finally." Now this can be easily refuted. As for his line where he says, "We've been sidelined for so long and treated really not very well," that's utter bullshit. Because firstly, Scotland does decide its own affairs. And secondly, more British taxpayers' money is spent per person in Scotland is more than anywhere else in the United Kingdom. That's more than anyone in Ulster, Wales and England. The Scots are subsidised very heavily by the British taxpayer, and their government is squandering it. And as for Brian Cox, how easy it is for him to preach about independence and rejoining the EU, which would be catastrophic to the Scottish economy, when he lives in New York. It wouldn't affect him at all. And like all good, wealthy socialists, everyone else can queue for their bread. I'm okay. And look at this fool. He tweeted this about the United Kingdom, the Union, a political union which cannot be maintained other than with threats, intimidation and bullying is a political union which has failed. A political union which can only be defended with lies, deceit and false promises is a political union which is corrupt at its very core. It is a political union which can only be harmful to Scotland. It is a political union which must be ended. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I'm pretty sure that's how Brussels and the EU protection racket treats its member states. I mean, look at the threats, intimidation and bullying that Guy Verhofstadt and his gang of thieves dished out to the UK when we said we wanted to leave, and we did. And it's continued, folks. And lastly, this is also trending under the hashtag IndieRef2. And it says, unlike British nationalists, I hate no race, I hate no creed, I hate no nationality. Which is a bit daft because Britain is a union, not a nation. And whoever wrote this obviously hates British nationalists, which don't exist. It's stuff like this which proves to me, and should be quite obvious to you, that the Scottish independence campaign is based on hatred and bigotry and is pushed by an insane Marxist who is currently running Scotland into the ground. Because I guarantee you, folks, should by some miracle Scotland join the EU, and from what I've seen online so far on EU websites, that's looking very impossible, then there's got to be something in it for Nicola Sturgeon. Now, for the record, I would love for Wales and Scotland to stick in the United Kingdom because I believe we are stronger together and we are a force to be reckoned with, as we have been over the centuries. This British Union has done some great things. All right, it wasn't perfect, but nothing ever is. But the world is an increasing hostile place. It's an unforgiving place. We've got North Korea, Iran, China and Russia. They're all playing up. The EU can't be trusted. And the United States installed bungalow Joe Biden as its president, just like a toilet, who himself has a hatred of Britain because of his Irish ancestry. What an imbecilic dickhead Joe Biden is, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the thickest bit of mince to ever become president of the United States. So for those reasons alone, I believe the United Kingdom is stronger and better and safer as a United Kingdom. And I, for one, would sure hate to see it broken up by irresponsible and selfish Marxists who have infested Welsh and Scottish nationalism. Anyway, that's what I think. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like to support my channel, then by all means, you can buy me a beer. Because YouTube and Google have demonetized my channel, but they're still putting adverts on my videos and profiteering from my work. And I think that's wrong. And that's why I started the Buy Me a Beer app. Right, that's it. Until my next video, please comment, share, subscribe, and Roger Trout.